a month. And I love educating because a lot of people get anxious, don't feel good about it. And I like to hopefully help clear up, things that you feel anxious or want to ask. But let me ask you, and Hadia, if you want to start first, what is your business and what was the reason for you to join the presentation?
Hi, my name is Hadia. I'm an accountant. I work with Expedience Tax Service. I am trying to open my own business with my husband.
Wonderful.
That's the reason I am doing the presentation, to help myself to figure out what I need to do and to
Great.
learn more.
Great. And then Myra, how about you? What's your business?
Yeah, so my business is in the pre-launch state as well. It's a property management. And same as Hadia, I joined because I am on that stage,
Hmm.
trying to figure out what kind of coverage I would need for my business.
Okay. And you said property management?
Correct.
Okay, great. All right. So, like I said, how to protect your business. I don't know if both of you feel like this, but I do know a lot of people that do feel like this. And again, hopefully I can help you, you know, clear the air about this because again, your agent is only as good as if they are going to explain and not just look at the bottom line is how much it costs, but what are you getting? And just so you both know, you can always add coverage later because you don't want to be insurance poor either. So our company gives bare bones and options, and you decide. And again, you can always decide later. Um, Couple things I like to always talk about. I don't know if you have an insurance agent that you have been talking to, but I feel that a doctor is just as important to you and your health as an insurance agent is important to the health of your business. Because again, you should have periodic checkups because you're new and because your things are going to be changing and could change drastically because we've had people that have started out doing one thing and then changed after maybe a couple of months and didn't realize to call their agent and let them know. You should really feel comfortable and get good advice. I will tell you the reason why I started helping startups, along with we can help businesses up to 100 million, is because they get a bad rap. A lot of these agents don't want to, they don't want to help small business. They don't feel that it's worth their time. And again, you know, you get a bad rap. Just because you're paying, I mean, I have people that are paying $350 a year, but they should have the same courtesy and professionalism as somebody that's paying $1 million. As far as options, they should always give you options. And also, hopefully, you feel comfortable or will feel comfortable because, again, this is going to help you with your health of your business. And as you know, if a doctor doesn't give you the right information, right medication, things could happen in a bad way. Same thing with your agent. If they didn't tell you what was going on and you have a claim and didn't know or don't have the coverage, I mean, you could even go out of business. So, another thing I like to explain to people is there's two types of agencies. One is a broker and one is a captive agent. A broker is someone that represents many insurance companies. They can shop for you. The captive agent only has one company. So you've heard of Allstate, State Farm, Geico, Farmers, American Family. They only have one company. And I will tell you, a broker cannot represent the captive agent companies and vice versa. Okay. So if you don't remember the name when you talk to an agent, ask them how many companies were you able to quote for me, and you will know that you are with a broker when they say, oh, three, four, five, six. Okay. The first thing that they should be asking you is, what type of business entity are you? Are you a sole proprietor? Now, I will let you know when people call me and tell me they don't have or have not set up a professional entity like an LLC or a corp or a partnership. I tell them that's probably the most important thing besides getting insurance, because you are using your own name. If you don't have any insurance and get sued, or you don't have enough, they can take away any assets you have. If you have a car, a home, 401k, pension, money in the bank, they can take that from you. But if you do have an LLC or a corp, it's very simple to close this up or file bankruptcy, easier than file bankruptcy with your own name. And again, you don't want that to be as far as you individually happening to you. So the first thing we always ask is, what's your business entity? I, as an insurance agent, and no insurance agent can tell you what is better for you, I tell people, call your accountant, because it's the way that you file your taxes. And I really wouldn't know that. And a good accountant would know what is best for you. Okay, where's your business located? So do you have a co-working space? Do you have a lease? Do you have a home office? Are you doing pop-up locations? Are you doing farmers markets? The first thing for a co-working space, usually, and just a side note or a tip, I like to tell every business owner, never sign a lease or a contract without looking at the insurance requirements, because there's always insurance requirements in there. I will let you know that we had an architect come to us before they signed a contract, and they wanted him to have $1 million of cyber liability. Now, to me, that's really overkill. So we were able to tell him, why don't you go back and ask them to either waive that, or let's give them $50,000, and it'll cost you maybe $35 or $40. Well, guess what? They waived that requirement. If he signed it and came to us, he'd be paying thousands of dollars for nothing. So that's why you want to have a relationship with your insurance agent also, so you feel comfortable going to them. Now, co-working spaces, usually the ones that we insure, they bring their laptop. But if there are requirements, or you've signed a contract, you want to go back and ask them, what are your requirements? A lease, like I told you, it's going to dictate what type of insurance you have to have. And again, if it's too much, you want to go back and say, look, this is going to break me, or you might not want to sign that lease. Home office, hopefully, if you do have an home office, you are not counting on your condo, renters, or homeowners insurance, because 9 times out of 10, if they know that it has work-related or involved with business, they will not cover anything. I have a lot of people that have inventory at their home, but they need to insure it on a business policy, okay? The liability for sure under a business policy will not be covered under your personal liability on your condo, renters, or home policy. Pop-up locations, a lot of times they won't have a contract, but you want to ask them, hey, I am using your space. What happens if there's a fire or there's water damage and I'm in here? Are you going to blame me, and am I responsible, or are you responsible? And a lot of times we have questions to ask, so then you have things in writing if something happens. Usually farmers markets do have, requirements for sure. So we also help the hatchery, which is for food, and they have their own requirements as well when you are using their shared kitchen. Okay. Now, I wanted to also tell you, if you have any questions in between, please ask me. I would love to answer your questions now, because a lot of times there might be more, and at the end sometimes isn't the best for you. So what type of insurance do I need? I'm going to let you know that I'm only going to be speaking about some. And if you want to talk about or have questions on others, please let me know. But these are really the basics that most businesses need. So general liability, most people need $1 million. I don't know any requirement that, or we don't give under $1 million. Okay. General liability is for bodily injury and property damage. And also, if you are either creating or manufacturing some type of product, whether it's food or a piece of equipment, because what happens is if you are sued, this general liability policy is going to help you with the products. So let's say that you have a food product and they sue you because supposedly, now remember, anybody can sue. They supposedly got sick or they hurt yourself off of your product. The general liability is going to provide you an attorney and help you with any type of like settlements or fees up to the limit that you have. Just so you know, any coverage that has liability in it, they are going to provide you an attorney. And you want to make sure if you have general liability now, what is your coverage limit? You should really know. Some do have deductibles. But I will tell you that manufacturers usually don't. The businesses that have deductibles under the general liability are usually contractors. This does exclude cyber liability and professional liability, which we'll be getting into later. This also, if you are in a brick and mortar and somebody trips and falls and they sue you, that's bodily injury. Or like I said, if you have a pipe and it bursts and it's your pipe in your location and it damages next door, this is going to also help with the property damage for the person next door. Okay. Business personal property coverage, you can add this onto this policy. And just to back up, package or business owner policy, this is going to be, you're going to have either one or the other. You don't decide, the insurance company decides. But I like to start using these because you are going to be hearing these more and more. They're basically the same thing. They start off with the general liability, and then you can start adding coverages. So business personal property is next. Do you have equipment? Do you have any inventory that you have? Now, I will let you know that most startups, if they have $3,000 or less, they usually self-insure because of the deductible. The deductible usually starts at $500 or $1,000. And what that means is you pay the first either $500 or $1,000 or $2,500 and the company pays the rest. But you can also get an option. Okay. Also, you are going to get back replacement cost unless it is inventory. And inventory, they're going to pay you back wholesale. Remember, insurance puts you back to where you were before, and you shouldn't be making money off of it. So that's why I like to also let you know about that as well. Business interruption. Do you have a business like a restaurant or a manufacturer, or even like us, we're an office. We do have people that are hybrid, but if we were off more than a few days, we would need this business interruption. And this helps you with sales that you lose. Also, if you have your employees that can't continue, like a restaurant, they help pay for 60 to 90 days of their payroll. Also, let's, for instance, say that you have the rent, the electric, the gas. This is going to help pay for that until you are back to where you were before. But you need to figure out what business interruption limit that you have, and your agent would help you with that. Also, there's a time deductible that most people don't know about. So does this start after you want it to start and hopefully have a 0 time deductible? But some of these policies start after 24 hours, after 48 hours, or after 72 hours. Now, for us, we are an office. If we're off more than 72 hours, it's going to affect us. But after, 1 day, 2 days, maybe 3 days, we'll be okay. But imagine a manufacturing company. that's off, and maybe they have a large order. So make sure you have a discussion for business interruption if you feel that that's important to you. Okay? The next thing are endorsements. Those are add-ons. So hired and non-owned auto liability. Boy, what's that? I don't have an auto. But I will let you know if you are using your own auto, and let's say that you go and get the mail or go get ingredients or go get equipment or something for your business, and you're driving in your own car and you get in a serious accident and hurt someone else in the other car, you know that a lawyer is going to not only sue you and your personal auto liability will cover you personally, but they're going to sue your business. If you don't have this coverage and they sue you, you're going to have to get your own attorney. Employment practices liability. That is to protect the employer from the employee if they sue them for sexual harassment, wrongful termination, discrimination. And I want to also let you know that this also covers if you have 1099s or employees, W-2s. Same thing with this. Now, let's say also that your client sues you because your employee supposedly sexually harassed you or discriminated against them. This is also going to cover you, the employer. Property in transit. Do you have any property in transit that you are going back and forth for? Maybe some people we know have about, 10,000, sometimes do transit of 15, 20, 30,000. Okay. And then liquor liability. Does your business need some liquor liability? We have some people that have BYOB. You still need liquor liability. Are you doing any special events and you have liquor? Or you're helping and you're having an event and someone else brings the liquor liability, but you could also be covered under that. Okay. Here are a couple other things. Professional liability, which is called E&O or air and emissions. I know Myra and also Hadea, you will need this air and emissions like we do. We're a service business. We're probably going to get sued for our service business or our services more than somebody tripping and falling off of our computer cord or something like that. This is very, very important to have. Okay, it's an option. And some of the time, depending on the policy you have, we talked about that general liability, you might be able to add the professional liability onto your policy, or you'll have to get your own professional liability. It'll be a standalone policy. Okay. Workman's compensation, it is law to have it if you have 1099s or if you have W-2s. This is even if they're working for you for cash or if they're working for you one day a week. Workman's comp, it's for work-related injuries. Even if you're in the car and if you're included, or your 1099s or W-2s getting an auto accident while they're working for you, the workman's compensation is going to pick up. The benefits are unbelievable. You get 100% of your medical payments. I don't care if you have 1 surgery or 10. There's no limit for medical bills. If you are partially disabled, fully disabled, or you die because of a work-related injury, workman's comp is going to give you a settlement. Okay? So this is very, very important to have or have a discussion if you feel like you're going to hire someone or you have 1099s. Now, I know a lot of people think, 1099s are on their own. Well, I will let you know that the courts look upon 1099s as your employees if something should happen. And you don't want to get stuck paying this for them either. Umbrella, that's just excess liability. A lot of people call me and say, I need an umbrella over everything. I told you that general liability usually starts off at $1 million. Well, I'll tell you, the reason why startups might have $2 or $3 million is because they have a contract that asks for it. So the way that you get 2 million or more is usually having an umbrella. So when that liability is exhausted on the general liability, the umbrella picks up after that. Okay? Directors and officers liability. Is anybody going to have an angel investor or private equity investor? Well, let me tell you something. You are acting as the board of directors for that company. A lot of times when you have investors, you have a contract and you promise them something. Like for instance, let's say after 3 years, you're going to give them 5%, or you're going to start giving them their money back with interest. What happens if you go out of business or you make a bad loan and you can't do it? They can sue you individually. So again, it doesn't matter if you are a corporation or an LLC. They can sue you individually, and this is the only policy that can help protect you. Now, a lot of times I talk to private equity and say, why aren't you purchasing this under their name? Because if something happens to them, you're going to sue them, and they're not, what are they going to have? Nothing. Another thing too, another tip is never get on a non-for-profit board unless they have directors and officers coverage. Because I'll tell you, a donor can sue you or the board because they didn't feel that the donation went to the right, let's say I had somebody that had a pet non-for-profit, and this woman wanted it to go to the dogs, her donation, and she felt like it didn't. So she sued the board. So again, this has liability. It's going to provide an attorney up to the limit. Most director and officers liability coverage is $1 million. Okay. Special events. A lot of times I have people that have a special event and their general liability policy is not going to cover it. So if you're going to do a special event, contact your agent, because sometimes the general liability policy that you have will cover the special event. And sometimes, like let's say they have liquor involved or other things, they might not cover that. So you might have to get a special event policy. It's usually for 1 day or a few days. And it's just, again, one shot. The special event policies we've written start off at $250. So that's a good conversation to have, or questions. Okay, we talked about subcontractors. All right. What I would do is if you are going to have 1099s, independent contractors or subcontractors, which is basically the same, ask them, do you have your own general liability policy? Do you have workman's comp? If they're a consultant for you and you have a consulting business, or like, Hadia, are you going to be hiring other accountants? You're going to want them to have their own insurance. And if they don't, then you are going to have to cover them. And that's another conversation to have with your agent. If they have their own insurance, you need to ask them for a certificate of insurance, and that's proof that they have it. And we're going to go over what a certificate of insurance looks like. You also might be asked, because a lot of times we have, clients that are on their own and they are working for a large corporation, and the corporation wants them to have their own insurance. So they're going to ask you for a certificate of insurance with what your agent can supply for them. Okay, cyber insurance, hot topic. Okay, everybody should have this. We ask people, do you have an online business, or are you doing business? Do you have an accounting program on your computer? Can you be hacked? The first question, do you use a computer for your business? I don't really know many businesses that don't anymore. Most of them do, so you can get hacked. Would your business be impacted if you had online sales? Would they be interrupted if you were hacked? Do you store any clients' information? And I will tell you that a lot of people don't realize that emails are clients' information. And I will tell you that if you have a computer or a website or an app and it gets hacked and you have clients' personal information, you can get sued. Because it is a law for a business to protect their clients' personal information, and we know no one can do that. Okay, we've seen, I don't know if you've ever gotten a letter I just got one from an insurance company that they were hacked, and the letter offered credit monitoring. Who do you think paid for that? So just beware. And again, you can get as low as $10,000 of cyber, and we'll go over that. Each state has laws on how to notify a client if they were breached. And it's about $224 per client. So imagine these like Targets and all these life insurance companies, how much it's costing them because they were breached. Here are some statistics. It's very scary. Just 17% of small businesses have cyber insurance. I will let you know that even if you get some added to your policy, it might cost you $35 a year. So if you do have insurance and you haven't been asked by your agent, please call them and ask them to give you some quotes. Because I'm telling you, it's not how, it's when am I going to get hacked? Here are the online exposures. If you have remote workers, which a lot of people do have now, you want to make sure that it's secure. Their computers, they're not letting their kids use it, or they're not using it for personal use. Have you ever received an email and it wasn't to you and it was in personal information? I know I have. Also, third-party credit card vendor. If any of you are going to be using credit card vendors like Stripe, PayPal, what happens if they're hacked and your clients are using them? Or any credit card vendor? You need to have a conversation, because if they're hacked, are you going to have to use your cyber coverage, or are they going to help and use theirs for your clients?
Excuse me, Honorary.
Ransomware.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think Myra had a question
sure,
about
Myra.
what we just covered.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just didn't want to jump in and I couldn't find the hand. Yeah, so just quick question. I know you're sharing about this cyber and exposure. Is there any way, and I don't know if this is a question for you or more for like a lawyer or something, but is there any way, I know on your website you can have like your disclosures, right? Or privacy statements or things like that. Any way when you have those statements that say like if you put your information, you know that like your release of any liability of the person who owns the website does that work, or that still doesn't work?
I'll tell you, anybody that has anybody sign something saying they're not going to sue them, you can sue, and they will.
Okay.
So yes, you are. It's great defense that you are doing that and you are taking the time, because when the insurance company calls you and you're sued, that's great defense for them. But I hate to say it that anybody can sue, which stinks. So good question though. This also is going to help you with the ransomware. You open up your computer and they say, I have your information. Give me $10,000 or I won't give it back to you. This is going to help also with the IT person. Now, I'll tell you, we had a non-for-profit get hacked or had ransomware, and they paid them right away because they were scared their donors were going to find out. 3 months later, they were held ransom again. So be really careful. If you don't have this coverage, don't panic and pay them. Find an IT person that can help you get out of this. Okay? Lost business, legal fees, fines, like we talked about before. It is a law for a business to protect their client's personal information. If you can't, they can sue you. And this cyber coverage will cover you. So what should you have covered? Well, I'll tell you, the very basic is expense. So I told you about the letters you're sending out and the credit monitoring. But, some of these might be important to you. Do you want to have liability coverage? Do you want to have ransomware coverage? If your computer was hacked, and I have a lot of people that only are 100% online selling their product, they would be lost if they did not have business interruption. What cyber limits are best for you? Get options. You can always increase them. And again, get bare bones and options, and you decide, and you can always add coverage later. It's not written in stone. So options for getting cyber coverage, you can get it added on to that owner's business owner or package policy like we talked before. It's more cost effective, but it might not allow you to have the coverage that you need. It's mostly expense. Option 2 is getting a standalone. It's more comprehensive, so you can get that, ransomware, but a lot of people just want to have something. And then it's a little bit more expensive, but again, get options as far as the limits. And just so you know, every coverage has limits. And I tell people it's not the sky. So make sure you know what limits you're getting. I am done with the coverages as far as what I feel that you really need to know. There are other coverages. It just depends on what business you have. I don't know if you have any questions. If not, we can go on.
I have another additional question, and it might be more geared toward my specific business. Would this standalone policy cyber cover, for example, like I'll give you the example. So for property management, obviously I collect rent and put it in a specific bank, right? If they have any any attack, right, or whatever,
Right.
would how does this policy cover that? Or is this the right policy to cover something like that, that there was some type of cyber attack on that end?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But
It would be
again,
the standalone or the
yeah,
general liability one
I
under
would do
option
the
one?
standalone because the one that's added to your business owner policy is only expense. And that's for like sending out a letter to the clients and maybe credit monitoring. So
Okay.
that is not going to be included. You really want a standalone. And it's really not that much money, to tell you the truth. I mean, if you need $1 million, then I would say, but I mean, you can get increments. You can get really anything you want starting at about $10,000. Okay, great question. Great
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. This is a certificate of insurance. So if somebody asks you for proof, this is what you're going to get if you're asking, or if someone's asking for proof of insurance to make sure you have insurance. Okay. These are the effective dates. These are the limits. Now, this person does not have workman's comp. So anything that is blank, it means they don't have it. Okay. This is the client's name or the insured's name, and here's the agent. This should not cost you anything from your agent. You should not get service charge. And I'll tell you, you should not really have any service charges that the agent is charging you, even if you're not, have a lot of premium. That shouldn't be. There are agents out there that would not charge you. Okay. And we send out about 40 to 50 of these a day for our clients. Okay.
I have a question on this,
Sure.
on the certificate of insurance. So again, for my business, I will be working with contractors, right?
Yes.
I will be, I mean, I didn't think of this, but I will need to make sure that they have a certificate of insurance. In the case they don't, right? And their pricing is very competitive and I wanted to use them. What does that imply to me? Like I know you mentioned it could be covered under my general.
Yes, under your general liability and then your workman's comp also. But let me tell you something. For property managers, their workman's comp, because it's on payroll, it's based off of payroll and what you're doing.
Okay.
So property manager is very inexpensive. If you start adding like painters and, landscapers, it's very expensive. So you might want to see what it is. And, what is it? It's up to you. But great question again. But yes, you do want to get certificates and you want to get them every year. But remember, everybody's policies don't start off like in December or January. So you need to really monitor when those policy period expirations come up because they're not going to send you another one. Trust me. You're going to have to ask them for another one. every year, every policy period year. Okay?
Okay. And just to clarify, when you say I will have to add them, like I will literally have to call my insurance, let's say you, and tell you I need to add my person for the landscaping.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I will tell you, any policy that's based off of sales or payroll, like workman's comp is, and sometimes general liability is, after the policy period's over, the insurance company is going to come back. It's called an audit and say, prove to me how much payroll you had. If you underestimate, then you're going to have to pay at the end. If you overestimate, you're going to get a money back. And so, if you are a growing company, your agent really should be reaching out to make sure that you do not have a large bill at the end of the policy period. Because most small businesses don't budget for that. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I'd just like to talk about a little, background because a lot of people don't know this and agents really don't explain it. But like we talked about before, does your coverage have limits? And they all do, like we talked about. And do they have deductibles? Some coverages do, some coverages don't. Again, if you don't remember anything but this, never sign a contract or a lease without sharing the insurance requirements or asking about them and what they are. Comparing quotes and proposals, just so you know, for business insurance, and this is only for business insurance, if you go to more than, like if somebody calls me and says, I've gone to 2 brokers already, can you help me? I tell them I'm not going to, because whoever gets their application in first to that insurance company blocks everybody else out. Okay, so for instance, let's say, and most brokers have the same insurance companies. So for instance, let's say we both have Hartford and you call me and you call someone else. If I get my application in first and that second broker tries to, the insurance company says, I'm sorry, you're blocked out, you cannot get a quote. So what I do is I tell people, if you do have different quotes from different people, go to the person or the agent that you have the best relationship with and have them help you. Because again, proposals, they're not regulated. What's on my proposal that I send you is going to be things that are different than another agent. Okay? So those are 2 things. Proposals are not going to be the same. And whoever gets their application in first, again, blocks everybody else out. I know it's weird. But for home and auto, if you have home policy and you have travelers, all the agents can give you the same quote. It's who do you like and feel comfortable with. The quoting process. I would say when you're going to launch your business, I would call an agent or try to 30 days before, because remember, you might have to fill out applications. So that means that you have to fill it out and take the time, and you've got a lot of other things going on. Then you send the application in to the broker. The broker goes out and starts shopping it, gets back a proposal and sends it to you, has to make an appointment with you, and then you have to look at it and you probably want to digest it. So try to give yourself and the broker 30 days. Now, we do have people that say, I need it in a week. I would say 7 to 10 days is what we tell people if they call us. And that's what we really try. Because again, we cannot rush our insurance companies, because then they're going to be like, here's a quote, and we're not going to be able to negotiate for you. What's expectations of an agent? That they respond to you right away. They don't take days to call you back. I would not accept that. Also, do you feel comfortable with them? Are they explaining things? Okay. Make sure, like I said, do they treat you how you should want to be treated? Okay. Well, again, I hope you feel better about this and you have questions for your agent, whoever you choose. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All
And it's
right.
about your last slide, actually. If you could share a little bit more what the process is like for that quoting process that you were saying that you recommend the 30 days before. Like what are your requirements specifically, which I can imagine are similar, but
Yeah. Well, like I said, when someone calls us, we want to ask them all the questions about them, and some people kind of get irritated, but I'll tell you, we want to give you options. I want to know what you're doing. It's very hard when people give you like some people want to text us, and I'm like, something, I can't do business with somebody that's only going to text. And I'll let you know too, I can see getting quotes online with your home and auto, or maybe even life insurance. But for business insurance, there's so many moving parts. And I'll tell you, a lot of times when you are talking to your agent, you're going to start formulating questions. But what happens is when you call, we ask you the questions. You might have to fill out an application because a lot of times we can't ask you or guess. Home and auto is simple, much easier. Life and health sometimes easier, but for business insurance, you do need to have a lot of questions. And I'll tell you again, this is not like going and buying cars from one place to another. Who's got the best pricing only? It's really relationship and what are you getting? So for instance, I had a tech company come to me and have me review their current policy. They had an office policy. They didn't even have any cyber or tech error and emissions or anything. So again, they went with something that cost $500 and they weren't even covered properly. So did that help you, Myra?
yes, yes, it definitely helps.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Well, I have a lot of questions, Anna, and thank you for the space. But I see that you have this Calendly link, so I will book
Yes,
an appointment here right now with you and talk to you
please.
just tomorrow if possible. Because
Wonderful.
yes, I have many questions and I would like to help. I would
You
like
want
to
to
help.
share what kind of business you have, Mauricio, so Ana Maria
Oh,
knows?
it's IT. I work with IT. This is
Okay,
for an IT company. Yeah, I'm
great.
working on something
Wonderful.
else right now, but this is especially for my IT company.
Yeah.
I work
This,
with a lot of subcontractors, so I have some gaps in this
yeah.
information. So that's what I would like to talk to you. So this is,
Wonderful. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that 1099s. Now, I will tell you, it's less expensive for a business, but again, are you going to pay for the insurance or are they going to? So, and I do get that Myra question a lot. Oh my gosh, my 1099 is so reasonable and I love working with them, but they don't have their own insurance.
that's
So,
exactly
yep,
my
yep,
question because yes, I always ask them to show me the insurance and everything, but how good is that insurance, right? In the case that something happens, for example, and the client sue me, so should I sue them or I'm a little confused
right, right.
with that part. So yes, I'm gonna book an appointment with you and let's talk
Okay,
because
great.
I will
Wonderful.
need something. Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording, and then